Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. It is Saturday. Happy Saturday morning to you. I hope that your morning is going well. Morning's going great because we are here and we're reading God's Word together. And I have found in my own life, there's times and seasons where I did not pick up this book and I did not read it. And even though I know God's truths and I know what He says, very easily dismiss them, very easily forget. And I was just reminded because I was reading for my other channel, Daily Bible Chapter. If you want to subscribe to that, you can subscribe to that. We're just read God's Word Monday through Friday. It's about 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes they're a little bit longer based on what I'm reading. And it's just like getting God's Word inside of you to remind you of the goodness of Him. And so Saturdays are great. Sundays are great. But every day is when it's so important. I have found, like, people have told me that, I have heard that it's so important to listen and read every single day, have devotions every day. Well, sometimes life happens, right? It does. And it's not an excuse, it's just, it does. And it's easy to dismiss. It's easy to let those negative thoughts in your head. And so I was reading the book of Exodus, and it was like the Israelites, and they had seen all these great things God had done, and all these good things happened. And then and then something came up against them, and they doubted. They started grumbling. They started complaining. And we read that and we're like, why? And then I'm not even to it yet, but where they're going to start wandering for 40 years in the desert because of their unbelief and not belief that God was going to do what He was going to do. And I think in my own life, I know it's like, okay, there was a time where I feel like everything was complete faith and like trusted, like, no matter what, blindly, just like God, and God was working all these great things out. And then life happens and things happen. And you get knocked down a little bit and you get a little wounded and you're like, ugh. And you start believing those lies. You start believing those things. And then you start thinking, well, is God really going to do that? Is He really? Well, maybe, but your situation not, or maybe, but maybe you're just looking too much into it. There is real life. We do live in the world. There are things going to happen. So you start questioning all these things, and then it's easy to go and start doubting and letting your faith waver and go down. And what I found, because I've done both, I'm learning that it's important to stay in His Word. It's important to keep it inside of you. It's important to stay away from things that are not going to build you up and not going to keep you rolling. And so I found that if I keep good worship music in my head, if I keep God's Word in the forefront of my mind, like He says, how much better to overcome the enemy's lies and how much better for your days. So that's my hope and prayer for you too. And it's just start with it slowly. Like, just read a little bit. It might not make any sense. You might not be like, what? But it's just to be reminded, oh wait, that's what God says. Let's keep reading and let Him encourage you through His Word. It says that His Word is like healing to, I think it's to the bone and marrow. And so it's healing. It's healing to your body and healing to your soul and things. Beautiful things. So we're in the book of Proverbs. We're in Proverbs 28. It says, warning and instructions. The wicked flee when no one pursues them, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. When a land does wrong, it has many princes. But when the ruler is a man of understanding and knowledge, its stability endures. It has to be with a man who has understanding and knowledge, then it's going to stay. A poor man who oppresses and exploits the lowly is like a sweeping rain which leaves no food. Those who set aside the law of God and man praise the wicked, but those who keep the law of God and man struggle with them. Evil men do not understand justice, but they who long for and seek the Lord understand it fully. Better is the person who walks in his integrity than he who is crooked and two-faced, though he is rich. You want to have integrity and doing the right thing versus being crooked in your life. He who keeps the law of God and man is a wise and discerning son, but he who is a companion of gluttons humiliates his fathers and himself. He who increases his wealth by interest in usury, excessive interest, gathers it for him who is gracious to the poor. He who turns his ear away from listening to the law of God and man, even his prayer is repulsive to God. He who leads the upright astray on an evil path will himself fall into his own pit, but the blameless will inherit good. The rich man who is conceited and relies on his wealth instead of God is wise in his own eyes, not in God's eyes. He thinks it's his own eyes. But the poor man who has understanding because he relies on God is able to see through him. When the righteous triumph, there is great glory and celebration. But when the wicked rise to prominence, men hide themselves. He who conceals his transgressions will not prosper. You can't hide things in life. It's like you're not going to prosper. But whoever confesses and turns away from his sins will find compassion and mercy. Blessed and favored by God is the man who fears sin and its consequence at all times. But he who has hardened his heart and is determined to sin will fall into disaster. Yeah, like read that again. Blessed and favored is the man who fears. He fears sin and its consequence at all times. He knows not to do that. He's afraid in a healthy way to not want to be that way, so he doesn't do it. And then it says what? But he who hardens his heart and is determined to sin, who says forget it, he's going to fall like a disaster. Like a roaring lion and a charging bear is a wicked ruler over a poor people. A leader who is a great oppressor lacks understanding and common sense, and his wickedness shortens his days. But he who hates unjust gain will be blessed and prolong his days. A man who is burdened with the guilt of human blood murder will be a fugitive until death. Let no one support him or give him refuge. He who walks blamelessly and uprightly will be kept safe. God's going to keep you safe if you're walking that way. But he who is crooked or perverse will suddenly fall. He who cultivates his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless people and frivolous pursuits will have plenty of poverty. A faithful, right-minded man will abound with blessings, but he who hurries to be rich will not go unpunished. Faithful, consistently, right? But if you hurry, it's not going to work. To have regard for one person over another and to show favoritism is not good. Because for a piece of bread a man will transgress, and he who has an evil and envious eye hurries to be rich, and does not know that poverty will come upon him. He who appropriately reprimands a wise man will afterward find more favor than he who flatters with the tongue. He who robs his father or his mother and says, this is no sin, is not only a thief, but also the companion of a man who destroys. An arrogant and greedy man stirs up strife, but he who trusts in the Lord will be blessed and prosper. He who trusts confidently in his own heart is a dull, thick-headed fool. Don't trust in yourself, only trust in God. But he who walks in skillful and godly wisdom will be rescued. He who gives to the poor will never want, but he who shuts his eyes from their need will have many curses. When the wicked rise to power, men hide themselves, but when the wicked perish, the consistently righteous increase and become great. I like the book of Proverbs because there's lots of warnings and instructions, like it's labeled, because there's a lot of warnings about why it's important not to be wise in your own eyes, why it's important not to hurry to get rich, why it's important to follow after God, and he's got instructions on how to do that so that we can walk with him and be close to him and keep walking out this pathway of life and get to where he needs us to be a blessing, to be an encouragement, to be blessed yourself, and be able to shine his light on those around you. It's a great, beautiful thing. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Saturday. Put a smile on your face. Go enjoy. Put your face in the sun. If there's no sun and rain, put your face in the sun and smile the direction of it and smile at somebody. You might be a light to them. All right, I'll see you again. Bye.